Hey guys, make sure to subscribe and turn notifications on for more Team Wars content. Hello everyone and welcome to the FHX part of the Team Wars talk show that we host every week on YouTube. I'm joined here today by Doro as well as Tokyo Old Driver from FHX. Say hello guys.
Hi, this is Doro from FHX.
And yeah, we will be having quite a lot of segments today. Usually, what we include within the Team Wars talk show, the expectations, the performance analysis, and the predictions for the next match, as well as the new world, Arc V, and the new Banlist that will be in immediate effect into the Team Wars Week 6 matches. So, let's start off with the match report. FHX up against Stellar Trace. So domestic competitions, considering both of the teams are primarily, if not mainly, based in China. It was quite a good win from you guys, 10-7. Talk to me a bit about the preparation going into this match. What did you expect out of your opponent?
So we look at their past match reports. They do have a little bit um, different choices in their decks. So in particular, they have been using Crystron, ETH Crystron in the past matches. But nevertheless, we believe that, well, in that meta, Onomat is the deck. So regardless of whatever that they bring, we believe that we will have enough Onomats, and enough Onomats would be able to bring us victory. And that's pretty much what we do. So I guess it's fine to disclose that actually in the 10 decks that we bring, we have 5 Onomats plus 5 something else. So yeah. And so from the decks that they bring in the match, the one that surprised us a little bit was the Cyber Dragon, ETH Cyber Dragon. But I guess we managed to handle that.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. That was actually, let's say, a new deck coming into week 5 because it has seen some usage within the KC Cup, and it was no surprise that it did also see just a bit of play within Team Wars. As you mentioned, actually, about your own lineup, Onomat with something else. Onomat obviously has been the tier 1 deck for months upon end, and yeah, it has a very good win rate. That's all it can be. Its only worst enemy is the mirror match, and I see that the starter Onomat versus Onomat did go into your favor, which did put you in a very good position later on with the 3-1 score line. And lastly, about the match report, I'm interested to hear a little bit about the Witchcrafter choice. It's not a deck we often see, but what's its best usage?
Well, it just happens that our player, Mr. W, is just the Witchcrafter player. He's just good at Witchcrafter. Witchcrafter in his hand is just tier 0. And so he would just play. And in the recent KC Cup, he got, I think, 14th place in the KC Cup with Witchcrafter for the whole duration of the KC Cup. Yeah.
Wow,
And I
that
think
is a very good achievement.
that's the only Witchcrafter in top 100, if I remember correctly.
Right. Yeah,
So
that's a
it
very
is
good
just
achievement.
the right deck for him.
Yeah, I think we have seen him strike as well against Divine, if I'm not mistaken, where he managed to get
Yes.
a couple of wins with the deck. I'm not sure how
Yeah.
many, but I do remember the
I
streak.
think 6, if not 5. Yeah, something along the line.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, that's very insightful coming from the lineup choice up against Star Trace. So we can move on, perhaps just for visual purposes, to the meta analysis. Uh, obviously we have Onomat sitting at the top. Maybe Harpies being a bit low actually for the week 5 match. Lunalight actually overtaking it, but the three most used decks of Onomat, Thunder Dragon, Gaia, that looks normal. Maybe TG has fallen just a little, but maybe a good surprise of that particular week was Ritual Beast, considering it did get top 10 global, the aggro version, not the trap version.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alright, we can move on to the divisions in that case. So Zexal Field division, which is commonly also referred as Division 4, you have your placing as number 3 within the division, very close behind Bricks and Potatoes and Genkai Code, which are let's say pretty scary teams to face. And you did face, I believe, one of them in Bricks and Potatoes. Not quite sure against Genkai Code. It was a very close match with an attempted comeback, but it didn't go your way. Still, that is your only loss against, let's say, a division favorite. Your next match will be up against Duel Links Taiwan, which has also had a pretty good history within Team Wars. I believe in their first season getting top 4 in the playoffs. Talk to me a bit about the preparation going into this match. Maybe mentioning perhaps some KC Cup placements from the Duel Links Taiwan team. Maybe some other insights, such as if you scrim with them often and you remember what their members use, so on.
Well, it's at the end of the day, it's a new meta. So in terms of
Right.
preparation, we are not even sure what deck to use, which deck might perform. So we are still in the midst of testing around. Like there are a bunch of new decks that emerged from the new meta, and I don't think would be much useful information from past data. So yeah,
Right. Yeah, that's a very good point.
There's full of uncertainty.
Yeah, and that's a perfect segue into the next and perhaps last topic between the Banlist and the RV New World discussion. Obviously, the Banlist, we are probably going to see way less, if any at all, Onomats completely killed by the Banlist. And
Yeah.
we have seen in past tournaments, be it Western or Eastern, that Onomat didn't see much usage at all. However, we have seen decks such as Gaia still make a resurgence after being, allowed under the pretext of a screenshot, right? That is the rule for week 6. You would have to send a screenshot each time you play Gaia and you activate the skill. So my question would be, in regards to the testing, if you tested on a competitive for the competitive viability of a new deck, which deck would you say has the most potential coming out of this, not only the balance but also the new world?
So from a personal point of view, like my teammates still might not agree with me on this, but my personal belief is that Happy Ladies would be the next ornament. Perhaps not to the extent that dominates the meta, but it's going to be a very strong, very competitive deck in the new meta.
Right. I actually do agree with that on a personal level. It's going to be very strong and quite a gatekeeper, even, I would say,
Yes,
to
yes,
the
exactly.
pendulum decks.
Yes, yeah, with the skill, it destroys your pendulum cards.
Right. And yeah, maybe just maybe the hit of Igeris to Limited 2 maybe not having been enough.
That's okay-ish, like acceptable, not really harming the deck too much.
Right, and yeah, speaking of the limited to two or semi-limit, uh, you would usually run the two Egotist and two TTH in the deck. Now, I'm
Yep.
curious to hear about your opinion on the ratio of the post-Banlist Harpies. I'm on the side of the opinion that you maybe can run one of each. What do you think?
One of each is okay, but I think it depends on your how you position your happy deck. If you want to be more aggressive, you definitely want to run two egotists. And if you want to be more balanced, I guess it's fine to run one egotist and one TTH.
Mm-hmm. We have seen as well some people substituting the second egotist with hysteric sign,
Yeah,
and with that we also have seen a resurgence in the 30 card harpy deck. Do you think it's gonna be one of the more so you have the low card harpies that were usually played almost all the time in the past few weeks of Team Wars, but are we also going to see people run 30 cards a lot more now for harpies?
yeah, I do think that it has a lot more potential because in the past it just loses to ornaments because you can open not so good and ornament just OTKs you or 30 cards happy. And now that ornament is gone and we are not seeing another say more OTK deck, they do have a higher potential to be in the meta.
Right, yeah, I definitely agree with that. um, yeah, I think that would be it with the questions in regards to the expectations and so on and so forth. So if you have any last words, any parting words, be it for the English audience to hear or for your fellow Chinese, if you have a message in Chinese perhaps for your fans to say.
Um, okay. Yeah, I would like to shout out to my teammates. Yeah, they are the best teammates I have, and I wish we could perform well in the future games, in the future wars, and yeah, that's all I have.
All right, thank you very much, and yeah, thanks for coming in, and see you on to the next interview, guys. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SEM part of the interview. We have today here with us zenzoh. Say hello.
Yo, hello, what's up?
And we're gonna be having quite an exciting discussion today because it's yet again another segment where we will be discussing not just the performance of SEM in week 5 against an undefeated opponent at that time, but also the addition of the new world as well as the new Banlist. So let's get this started by talking a bit about the aforementioned win. So we have here on the screen the report of Sensei versus Supreme European Monarchs, and you're part of the lineup, and well, maybe didn't do as well as you may have hoped to, but JW really went crazy in this match. So
Oh yeah, for sure.
Sensei is quite a good opponent for not just the previous season where they did make playoffs in their first season, but also in this season being 4-0 at the time of your match. Guide me a bit maybe through your preparation process for this match.
Yeah, no problem. So, like before going into this match, we knew we had to win. We ran in the greatest position with a 1-3 record, which is like close to elimination. So we knew we had to like turn things around and actually start winning. And of course, Sensei is like a really scary opponent, but we had practice with them in scrims in the past, even in this meta still. And we always lost the scrims, but like we knew kinda like what their strengths were and what their weaknesses were, and we also took like a really close look on the past match reports. So, for example, we like we definitely knew that Golf, like one of their top players. I mean, they're all top players, but Golf especially is a really well-performing player. We knew he would like bring ornaments and Thunder Dragon, and we kind of knew that he would play from the start. And another player we were scared of was Ash, and because like I said, we scrimmed against him in the past. We had practice matches, and we like lost 5 in a row to Ash's Cyber Dragon. So that's why we definitely wanted to have a Thunder Dragon Resonator, especially just for the matchup, since Thunder Dragon Resonator have like, I would say 80% win rate against Cyber Dragon, since you can easily make a board with a lot of big monsters where Cyber Dragon struggles with, and you also can search Circuit with the skill. So we knew we had always had something to shut down their one Cyber Dragon immediately. And of course, we also brought Red Y. Like, he came out to help us, and he also got a gold icon right before this match, the KC Cup before the match. So he was we were bringing our best players, our best lineup to turn things around. And for JW, I can say JW brought 2 ornaments, which, I mean, it isn't too unusual, but I mean, it's kind of unusual.
Maybe kind of unusual at that point within the match, right? Because Onomat, we have seen a lot of success as it being a double pair for the starter.
Oh yeah, definitely. So the first version of JW's ornament didn't play Rhino Boss, but the second one did. So basically, he wasn't a starter. So whenever he would come in, he would either start with if he needs to counter, and if Rhino Boss is good in the counter, he would start with Rhino Boss. And if he gets if he loses, then if he wins and loses the next one, and he brings the next ornament, they're probably gonna think he's playing also Rhino Boss in this ornament version. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a mind game.
So there was also a cool thing, and we also saw that Sensei was usually, I mean not always, but they were often countering ornaments with Lunar Lights. So I mean, having Rhino Boss would first off help try to win the matchup, and if they see Rhino Boss right at the start, they might be afraid that the second ornament also has Rhino Boss. So it's a mind game thing.
Right. Yeah, and it ended up kind of paying off in the end, right? Because towards the latter end of this match, we see 4 Onomat mirrors, and when JW switched to his second deck, the next 3 mirrors have been won by him, and then it probably was really easy afterwards to take care of Ash's fearful Cyber Dragons, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the Rhino Boss also helps. It's also really good in the Cyber Dragon matchup. Since if it gets Book of Moon, it still has 2,200 defense, so Rampage can't beat over it easily. And it's also good in the mirror, just to pop the sister.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So that was quite an interesting insight to hear about not just the lineup you expected from them, but also your own lineup. And it was really interesting to hear that you also scrim them often, and despite the losses in the scrim, well, you did manage to turn it around in this official match, which was a very important win, as you mentioned.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, so in this case, we can move on just a bit to check out the meta-analysis for that particular week. We don't have a lot to say about this. It's just mostly what we expect. Onomat be at the top, Thunder Dragon number 2, Gaia number 3. Probably the only 2, or rather 3 things to point out from this meta-analysis is the fact that Lunalight was a lot more played, even a lot more than Harpies. Harpy's
yeah.
not having quite a good win rate in this particular week. And the last thing to take away from this is probably the downfall of TG as well as the rise of Ritual Beast. But who knows what the week 6 meta is there to bring to us. So before we get into that, we will be talking a bit about the division as well. So SCM currently on the 6th place, but still a very much needed win. Does put you guys very, very close behind Kizuki Reborn as well as Toon Squad in terms of RD, and not far off from Inti-san, still quite far from Sensei, which you just beat, as well as Switcheroo. But Last Killer is your next opponent, who is currently on the 8th place within the division. Maybe tell me a bit about what do you expect from this match, and how you intend to prepare for this.
Oh yeah, it's quite hard to prepare right now, especially because we got such a big ban list and a lot of new content added in such a short time. So I would assume that preparing is like hard for every team right now.
Yeah,
but
I can agree.
Even though Last Killer is is currently in the last position, I think it's really dangerous to underestimate teams or go easy on them. There's like one of the biggest mistakes you can do in such a competitive league. So of course we need to win. We want to win, and of course we're gonna bring our best lineup, our best decks. So yeah.
Yeah, I can attest to that. And speaking of not just the best lineup as well as the best decks, we can get into the final point of the discussion about the Banlist that we mentioned earlier, as well as the new world with the new box, with the new super mini selection, shaking up the meta just a bit from the staleness that the last few months have been, thanks to the Onomat, Thunder Dragon, Gaia, whatever format. So the Banlist basically kills Onomats, right, Zenzoh?
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's a really good thing, because Onomat was super oppressive. It could tech for any matchup. Like people would usually bring Thunder Dragons to counter Onomat, but then Onomat switched their build up to some with a bunch of flip traps, and then pierce you with the Gaia Charger XEs. So Onomat was really hard to counter, really hard to prepare for. So I'm really glad that this deck finally got a nerf from Konami and is probably dead, or hopefully dead.
Yeah, and within the ashes of one old deck rather, with Onomat, maybe another can rise, which is Harpies. Harpies have been theorized to be one of the better non-Arc V related decks to survive the Banlist and become once again top tier. What are your thoughts on Harpy right now?
Yeah, Harpies are a really, really quick deck, and their biggest strength is of course they just demolish back row decks. And if a deck which is really strong against back row is probably tier 1, I would say at the moment. It's hard to tell, but I would say it's like up there definitely. If such a back row strong deck is really high up in the meta, it's really hard for especially back row decks to get a chance to shine in the meta. So I would definitely say that back row line strategies won't be effective. I mean, maybe, but I really don't think so. So I mean, it's a good thing, it's a bad thing. Who knows? It's hard to tell at the moment.
Yeah, and speaking of being hard to tell, well, you did mention that back row decks are pretty bad, obviously, against Harpies. But we can also include Pendulums in that category because, well, it's an obvious direct counter to Pendulums, the Harpies hunting ground. So even then, Harpies has the advantage against Pendulums. And speaking of this, being one of the new mechanics introduced in this new world, with that, there have been some other archetypes either released or reinvigorated, such as Yosenju or Melodious, archetypes that were pretty niche before. Well, maybe Yosenju's not so much, but Melodious surely. What are your thoughts on one of the new Arc V character decks? Have you had the chance to test one, or be it on a casual level or for a competitive viability reasoning?
Yeah, this is a really tricky question because I wasn't able to farm everything, so like I
That's
wasn't
alright.
I wasn't able to like test everything. But I think the funny thing is obviously like a lot of people didn't have the chance yet to like test everything out, see what deck like does really well against what. But I assume that this week we're definitely gonna see a lot of usage of the pendulum mechanic, and who knows, maybe there is a secret pendulum deck who just smashes everything in his tier 0. But at the moment it's hard to tell. But I mean it's a funny thing because it's kind of unpredictable right now.
Right. Yeah.
Like what does well and what doesn't. But one thing I can like say for sure from the decks which are which didn't get too shafted by the ban list, like obviously Harpy is gonna stay, Thunder Rings, and Gaia. Like those are the 3 decks which are definitely gonna stay. And from the other old decks, yeah, maybe Blue Eyes, Fire King, Lunalight obviously being one of the safe Harpy counters, I would say, since the Saber Dancer is untargetable, and and Harpies do have like almost no out to it.
Right. Yeah. I can see that. And
Yep.
about harpies as well. There's also that factor in which harpies can pretty much be built 2 ways, right? As previously, the thin build as well as the big build. We have seen the big 30 cards build being used more and more post Banlist. Just your last thoughts upon this discussion in regards to the Banlist or the New World, about the 30 card harpies. Do you think it's gonna find the use? And if so, what's it best against, in your opinion?
That's a tough question.
It's alright. You can choose to. You can think a bit about it, because we haven't seen much data of 30 card harpies in a while. So it would mostly be based off the old meta, and
Yeah.
you also have to take into account maybe some new decks in, like, let's say Yosenju's maybe make an appearance, and obviously Yosenju, the new version with the Myosenjus and the pendulum scales, as well
Yeah,
as
that's
the
a really
30
cool
cards
strategy.
harpies. That's probably a matchup we have never seen before.
Yeah, I think like one of the big things for the 30 card Harpy build is they can run like traps, unorthodox traps, which the small build can't play, like Karma Card, Divine Wrath, Raigeki Break. Like discarding the sign or the harpist is a really powerful move while like interrupting your opponent. So it's really hard to tell if you would rather go with a 30 card build or a smaller build, because I would say like the smaller build might be better in the mirror match, since it gets quicker going. Like it doesn't need a lot of setup.
Right.
You also can draw your Swallow's Nest, like I don't know, the key card, the signature card of RPs.
Definitely.
You can draw that quicker. That's also like a plus. But like you have with the small build you have a bad, not a bad, but like a worse matchup against like more grindy decks. While the 30 card deck, the 30 card version doesn't really have that problem, since it has a lot more resources to take advantage of.
Yeah, I can attest to that. Maybe we can see both of the builds being used to their full potential, and week 6 has a lot to offer to us. Probably.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Same here. Let's. Any last shoutouts or special mentions before we close out this segment?
Yeah, I would obviously shout out my team, my teammates from the Supreme European Monarchs, my teammates from Galaxy, and of course, yeah, my Reddit friend Zenith. Yeah, that would be it.
All right. Thank you so much for coming in on this interview, Zenzo. It was a big pleasure to have you, and as well as you sharing your insights in regards to not just your Week 5 match, but also your insights with the future Week 6, let's say, predictions or perhaps some meta shifts.
Yeah,
Thank you
no
so
problem.
much.
Likewise. Likewise.
Yeah,
Thanks a lot for having me.
right. And thank you guys for watching, and see you around. Goodbye.
Okay, so today we have an interview with Tenma. Yeah, he had an amazing performance last week versus Duel 9-2 with a double Onomat pair. So I'm excited to have him with us.
First of all, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I always love teamwork talks, and it's a pleasure again to invite it. And well, yeah, it was a lucky performance, and playing the best deck. Sometimes that's what happens if your opponent is not ready to face it. And I also had a lot of help from my teammates that really helped on VC and in deck building, and in testing, and we pulled it off. I don't want to say it was all me because it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, Onomat is also just like one of those decks. Like, if there's a deck that's going to streak in a war, it's definitely going to be Onomat that does it. Especially when you have
Yeah.
That's an interesting
Yeah, that's what we thought. Like, since it's the best deck, we take them differently to answer the most common matchups that they would then be sent in. So the first one had like Fiendish Chain, triple Fiendish Chain to answer Thunder Dragons, which has been very common as a counter. And the other version had Floodgate, in case our opponents was playing Luna Lights, which the days prior streaked like crazy, I think, in 3 or 4 matches.
Yeah, a lot of teams were struggling with Saturday. Mm-hmm. So that's what prompted you to add the floodgates and stuff, just for Luna.
Yeah. One of the second deck was playing Floodgate and Swordbreaker, just to have a sure way out to the Luna Light Fusion monsters, which can be extremely annoying to deal with. So that was the idea, and it worked out really well. Also because our opponents didn't play Luna Lights, had some strategies going on with Shiranui, Blue Eyes, and Yosenjus, and they just weren't good enough to counter Onomats, unfortunately for them.
Yeah, there are some interesting decks that they brought. I was surprised. Like we've only like Thunder Dragon usually does pretty well versus Onomat, but we only saw one of them come out.
Yeah, looking at their match reports from previous weeks, like they were using both Thunder Dragons and DG Dinos to counter Onomats. And this week it seemed they opted to play only 2 of Onomat counter decks, which really was their downfall. But I guess probably there was also some, I don't know how they went into this week being 0-4. Maybe they wanted just to have some fun at this point. And the meta didn't allow it.
Yeah. Were there any duels that you like particularly remember standing out to be like really close duel or an exciting duel for you?
Yeah, there was one of the last ones. I believe the second match against TG Dino, the one I won with the Floodgate version of Onomats.
Yeah,
that was absurd. I don't even know how we managed to pull it off, because it was an uphill battle since the beginning, and I think my opponent had a slight misplay, and that allowed us to come back. Otherwise, it was a sure loss, because I remember opening full monsters, and the opponent had multiple back row with a follow-up into the DG combo. So there was such a surprising win. I was thinking already the run was about to end, but instead no.
Yeah, you managed to push on for a couple more duels with that.
Yeah.
Unfortunate for them, they waited. It seems they waited too long to send the dinos out towards you. Otherwise, they might have had a better chance in the war. But by the time they were able to stop you, just too late.
Yeah, because my first deck especially was tagged for Thunder Dragons, so I also had in the extra deck that rank 6 monster that negates high level monster. I don't remember that.
Yeah, I forgot.
But
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I had many out to Levianir playing also the 3 Finnish chain. So definitely if they have sent the TJ Dino before all the other combos, my run could have ended on much sooner.
But you had a great run. You went 9-2. Were you really hoping to go for that 10-1 with that last duel there?
Well, I was hoping a little bit because my previous record in Team Wars, which is also my current record, is 9-2, which I was hoping I could improve at one point during this war, but then just couldn't.
Yeah, so great. I mean, it was an on-map mirror in the end, so I didn't watch it, but I can imagine it came up pretty much a clip there.
Yeah, it was close. Maybe there was a moment in which I could have done a different play and that would have led to different result, but I chose to go for a head play to pop his monster, but he had a lands, so I could protect with from my bolt, and then I was top decking, and I top deck into a dead MST, and there was no coming back anymore.
Yeah, I mean, either way, still a great run for you. 9-2.
Yep.
Congrats on that. I mean, not much to say other than, Onomat just kind of streaking all over the place, right?
Yeah, and that's why the ban list was necessary.
How do you feel about the Onomat ban? Are you happy to see it go?
Yes, I'm happy because the skill was just too overpowered compared to anything else. And
yeah, the skill
having a guaranteed follow-up, like allowing you to have the best starter in your deck and then a guaranteed follow-up, is just too strong in Duel Links. I guess in any card game. Probably.
Yeah, as we can see here, it lets you go 9-2, obviously.
Yeah.
Hopefully the new ban list will breathe some life into the Team Wars meta, as well as the new world with pendulums. That should be very exciting to see.
Well, I believe the first week after a ban list is always super exciting because the meta is still not figured out. So
yeah, especially with a new mechanic.
Yeah, especially with the new mechanic. I don't know what impact will have, but I'm sure that some of the cards that were introduced like this morning will be played. I'm sure some of them.
Absolutely, I'm looking forward. I know a lot of people were getting bored of watching Onomat and Thunder Dragon over and over again.
Yeah,
so it should be exciting.
Yeah, definitely was one of them.
Yeah. Are there any decks you think that are just gonna like rise in popularity of the ban list, or are you just not too sure on that yet?
Well, I think that the usual suspects, since they weren't as much nerfed compared to Onomats, still there, like Harpies and Gaia and Resonators, maybe, even though the nerf for Resonators was probably the stricter in terms of skill, especially rebalancing.
Yeah, it should definitely be exciting.
And I don't know, it seems to me that Harpies and maybe Gaia are the best deck, are going to be the best deck going into the week, but it's hard to say considering that we had the box release and maybe there's something to watch out on.
Yeah, we'll see. Well. Those are definitely like two of the biggest contenders for popularity here, I believe.
Yes, and I'm also glad that Team Wars decided to not ban some of the decks because of the skill rebalancing. Yeah.
Yeah, especially the Gaia skill is a real important one, I believe.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean it's gonna be a extra hassle for the referees, but
Yeah, but you know, it's
Right.
still worth it for the
Team,
health of the meta.
yeah, and Timor's refs are the best ones out there.
Thank you. Yeah, should be exciting. So with that win, you guys are now 3-1 on in the
I
season.
believe that's last week.
Oh yeah, that is
present.
outdated. These are outdated standings. That's my apologies. You don't have the update. I'll edit the updated ones in here. But yeah, so that
Yeah.
means you guys are actually 4-1 right now, right?
Yes, and we would be second place.
Yeah, you'd be
we're
second place because of Diffusion's loss, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Diffusion.
Yeah, Diffusion lost
to the
10-6.
Pharaohs.
If I'm
Yeah,
not
they lost
mistaken.
10-6. So that'll put you second place, which is really exciting. And yeah, how do you feel about that so far? Are you feeling good on the season?
Yeah, there were a lot of question marks coming into this season for Phoenix because we added a lot of new faces, including myself, and so we needed to find the team chemistry and get into practicing a bit and what makes generally a team good. And it seems everything clicked so far, and I think 4-1 is where we want it to be at this point of the season, and looking as good, strong contenders for playoffs and hopefully more.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're in one of the more competitive divisions here, it seems, with Pharaohs and Diffusion giving you great competition.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you haven't.
Yeah, Pharaohs have had a great season so far. Probably one of the most surprising starts in Team Wars.
Yeah, exactly. They're doing really good so far. So that's definitely.
They've always been good, but I don't think that they've ever
They've been this good,
had
this
such a
dominant,
record.
undefeated, 5-0 right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna be exciting to see.
And they've all beaten the other top teams of the division.
Yeah, they've beaten UN Diffusion, so they've established themselves as the number one in the division so far.
Yep.
It's going to be exciting to see how this division looks week 9, week 10, see who's in the lead and who's in the wild card and stuff. But this is definitely a strong division.
Yeah, it's gonna be really difficult to get first place. So, I mean, it's probably going to be like a fight until week 10.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna be the last match that determines.
Yeah, I mean Pharaohs is now gonna have an easier schedule considering they've already played you guys and Diffusion, so it'll probably come down to you and Diffusion having to fight for second place. That's what I'm seeing.
And we play Diffusion this week.
Yeah, this week. Yeah, that's gonna be an amazing war to watch. Cause
the meta is gonna be fluid, so we might see some interesting strategies, and we don't know what to expect either from Diffusion. So
yeah, brand new meta, 2 of the top teams in the league going at it. This is gonna be fun to watch, especially when there's so much on the line here, fighting for second place in your division.
Yep.
I mean, well, you already have the second place, but you're fighting to keep it. Whoever wins that is in second place come next week.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys are going to be preparing all out and bringing your best game to that for sure.
Yep.
Make sure to feature that match for Team Wars. If you're watching this, make sure you tune into that match. It'll be this weekend. It'll be definitely fun to watch. Yeah. Are you excited for Pendulums coming to Team Wars?
Yes, I'm excited, even though I wasn't playing the TCG when they were introduced. So I don't know much about it.
Yeah, I don't know much about them either, but
I'm learning the mechanic myself, today, and hopefully these next few days I'll get the hang of it.
I'm so used to whenever they introduce new mechanics, it's usually bad for a few months, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I remember with Synchros and XYZ, they didn't take off until a few months after, once they added some real good cards.
Yeah, I was just looking back this morning at the box that was released on XZ when the XZ World was introduced. And there were a lot of high potential cards like Utopic and DD Crow and Findish Chain, other archetype specific cards that really took off only months later when they introduced other pieces of the support that was missing. Of course, the Diddy Crow and Finnish Chain were staple at the time and still are.
Yeah.
But the other cards that made the box good became only good after a few months, as you said.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we've gone over everything we need to go. You want to give any shout outs to the people watching?
Sure. I want to give a shout out to my team and my former team that I'm sure they will be watching this.
Thank you for coming on. It was a pleasure having you here.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
Those of you watching, make sure you tune into Diffusion versus Phoenix this weekend. It's going to be a fun match.
Yep.
Yeah.